Tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta demands fairness as he fights off what his lawyer, Gabi Asarioch-Dako, describes as ambush by NDC MPs as his censure hearing gets underway.
And it will not be fair to the Minister of Finance to be ambushed and right here without any preparation if we do not constrain the accusers.
Very, very strongly. I mean, if I quote the president...
I do apologize. I do apologize.
The minority leader has today led his side to present their case against the finance minister based primarily on allegations of incompetence, breach of regulations, and economic mismanagement.
And we think that he's not competent enough to continue to hold office as Ghana's minister responsible for finance.
We have the latest plus all the heated exchanges from Parliament.
The Finance Minister of the Republic has a responsibility to be working on the budget, to be negotiating on the IMF program. And if we're going to stay here and spring surprises at every turn,
some of us take strong exception, very condescending, and as though we are wasting their time. It's totally unacceptable.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Today, the unprecedented formal procedure to remove the finance minister got underway in Parliament, and Ken Ofori-Atta and his lawyer, MPP stalwarts Gabi Asarioch-Dako, wasted no time to challenge the process. The minority NDC MPs are seeking to remove the minister, triggering a constitutional provision previously untested. Today, Minority Leader Haruna Drisu led his side to present their case against the finance minister.
We are dissatisfied with the performance of the Honorable Minister for Finance, and we think that he's not competent enough to continue to hold office as Ghana's minister responsible for finance because, Chairman, as we have said, so since I took counsel on gross 7, gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, which has occasionally told an unprecedented hardship. So, Chairman, we have grounds. Let me start with National Cathedral. When public resources is used for that purpose, it needs us to call into question. So the clerk of the committee, I just gave you a warrant signed by the Honourable Minister for Finance for some amount of money for the cathedral. And that's what you are holding, the first document. Just give me that. So I'll tender this in evidence and say that we are aware that by a warrant signed by Honourable Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister, 29th October 2022, an expenditure of 142,762,500 Ghana cedis was allocated for the construction of the cathedral. We want to know when parliamentary approval was granted for this purpose. And then also I referred to the Auditor General's report. Chairman, when we say, for instance, I just picked two, as I said, I'll yield to the Honorable Atufosen. Fiscal recklessness. Today, what is Ghana's national debt position? In over 50 years, the highest rise in inflation for 40 years. This inflation has contributed to the unacceptable hardships that Ghanaians are going through. And we are holding the Honorable Minister for Finance wholly and solely responsible for that. The words of the President, I continue. The steepest depreciation in their currency to the US dollar over the last 30 years. 2017, $1 was to 4.2 Ghana cedis. Today, $1 is 15 Ghana cedis. That has meaning for businesses in Ghana. The cost of doing business is unacceptably high for businesses.
And you heard there Haruna Drisu, who led the minority side in presenting their evidence, their case against Ken Ofori-Atta. There was a lot of drama when lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta, Gabi Asarioch-Dako, approached the members of the committee and raised a fundamental objection bordering on the procedure. He demanded fairness and objected to what he thought was an attempt to ambush his client, the finance minister. I'll bring you details of that. But the two principal witnesses for the minority side, that is Haruna Idrisu, who's a minority leader, and Ofori-Atta are now being questioned, call it cross-examined, by members of the committee. On the floor right now is the member of parliament on the side of the minority on the committee, Samuel Ablakwa, who is questioning the minority leader on one of the grounds for removal of the finance minister, which they presented today, that has to do with the building of the Nassau Cathedral and monies that the finance minister is alleged to have authorized without parliamentary approval. I want to take it there live right now.
I'm concerned about how those monies were spent. Was it with the authorization of Parliament or not? Was that expenditure in accord with the Constitution or not? Knowing myself, and let me use this forum, Chairman, to point out clearly, because I share the same burden with the Chairman, a respected Ahmadis, wholeheartedly. Even me, I'll contribute in supporting a cathedral. I don't have any problem with supporting persons being given opportunity to worship their God and know their Lord. I have no difficulty at all. But should it be done with public resources or with private resources? And my view is that if it is to be done, even with public resources, come clear. Let us know the cost, value for money, where the money is coming from, how much is dedicated, and let Parliament give approval for it. So let nobody go and say that Haruna Idrisu, minority leader, and the Honorable are forcing against cathedral. No, we are consummate believers and respecters of freedom of conscience to exercise the right to freely practice your faith. But in establishing it, let's honor God in a manner that is honorable. How much are you spending? I can provide that details. I don't have the drawing. I'm not a quantity surveyor to know that. But I'm saying that how was the money spent? And then when I drive there every day when I'm coming from work or when I close, how much money you have poured on the ground? And when you say, Chairman, they will say you are adding new additional issues. It's like Agenda 111 hospitals. If you go around the country, contractors have just taken money from government and abandoned site. Some of them, grass is still at the sides, grass. Yet, monies have been released for people in the name of going to build hospitals for the Ghanaian people from taxpayers. We shouldn't take the public for granted. So, when you pass by a cathedral, be interested in how much money have been spent and the state of work of the cathedral. So, when there is a church ceremony there tomorrow, I'll attend and I'll sing "It Is Well," but not and it to be well, but not to create an impression as if we are not for it. No, we are saying that was authorization given by who? By Parliament. And I refer to Dr. Ayeni's own comment when we were passing the budget for that particular year. I mean, what you must do is let's know allocation. Then we know. When those releases are done, nobody will raise an issue. So thank you very much. I'm sure, Chairman, if there are any further questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
The Honorable Samuel Ablakwa still has some questions. How many questions do you have?
About 6 questions, Chairman.
About 6 questions?
Yes.
On the National Cathedral.
And the cost of living, the alarming incompetence.
Yes.
But
on each item. Honorable Imadu,
I'm dealing with 3 items.
It was that you asked 3 questions on each of the items. So since they combined 2 items, we can do 6, can't we? Yes.
Yeah, Chair. Thank you very much. The Honorable Atuforsen, still on the National Cathedral, you indicate that Article 178 has been breached. There's no authorization by Parliament. I have heard some government communicators say that perhaps the finance minister can come under contingency and do what he has done. Is that a view you share? Does a contingency fund under our constitutional arrangement allow a finance minister to do what has happened in this instant case?
Thank you very much. I'm not aware that a contingency fund in particular can be used for such a project. The Constitution is clear on how contingency fund can be used. And for the minister responsible for finance to be able to use the contingency fund, he will need the approval of the Finance Committee of Parliament. You recall that during the COVID era, the finance minister appeared before us, got approval under the constitutional requirement of the contingency fund, and the Parliament approved. So I am not aware that the Ministry of Finance appeared before the Committee of Finance, of which I'm the ranking member, and will consider such a thing. So obviously it can be contingency fund.
Chairman, just to add up, is Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, why do you have to budget for a cathedral? 3 economic reasons. It is a phase-out project. You cannot finish it in 1 year. So every year you must budget that I'll spend X amount to get to this level of the project. So once you conceptualize it well and cost it, then you know a project will be completed in 18 months, 24 months, and then you are able to follow. So it's important that it is budgeted for. It is equally important that Parliament annually approve the budgetary allocations, because for this year, maybe you perform up to 30% level. The following year, you add up to 80%, and then you keep it going. So if you are talking about contingency, the danger is that if tomorrow you don't make provision for them for contingency because you have floods in the country, what happens to the project? Must it come to a standstill? So get it well, start it well, and end it well. That is what we are saying. Our concern is the Parliament of Ghana, which exercises oversight over the public purse. Did you warrant approval of allocation of money for the cathedral? And if you did, we'll then ask you what is the cost of the cathedral. So the question you are asking me, in allocating budget, you must know how much it will cost you in doing so. Thank you.
And then, Sami, if the Ministry of Finance use the contingency fund or whatever votes they use, it will show on the warrant where they are picking the money from. So if you have the warrant, you can track it and you'll be able to see. The specific warrant will show you where they are picking the votes from.
Is it my understanding that you are also concerned about all the fiscal exposure, the burden that has accrued to the taxpayer? Judges' bungalows demolished, they have to be replaced, extra cost. Judicial Training Institute demolished, they have to be replaced. Private institutions like COMSIS, the IT firm, demolished. They are entitled to compensation. Another company called Waterstone Realty. And indeed, I have the Waterstone Realty High Court case here where there's a looming judgment debt in excess of $50 million. Are you concerned about all of these attendant costs that have come about because of the recklessness of the finance minister in this particular case?
Mr.
The finance minister is becoming a demolisher, so it's going about demolishing buildings and creating.
Mr. Chairman,
finance minister.
It is for this reason. It is for this reason why it was prudent on the part of the government and the finance minister to have come clean for us to know the total cost for the construction of the cathedral. Unfortunately, as we speak, no one, and I mean no one, we, the members of parliament, with the power of the purse, we do not have any knowledge on the cost of the cathedral. To compute the total cost of the cathedral, it is not only the build cost, Sometimes you have to even value the land and the build back, and obviously other things you have to do so that we know the exact cost of the cathedral. And the need to prioritize it, whether it is priority of priority as said by the president or not, and to seek the approval of Parliament. Clearly, the power of the purse is not with the executive, it is with Parliament. So it is only Parliament that can approve the expenditure of this nature. Unfortunately, I have not cited any kind of expenditure of this magnitude. So it will be very difficult for me to say that this is the total cost of the cathedral. But I'm honestly concerned about the fiscal impact going forward. And obviously the project has started. One way or the other, something must be done with it. Are we going to abandon it, or we are going to spend more money on it as against school feeding, or as against what? At the times of major crisis of this nature, what are we going to do?
Are you also concerned about the contract to Sir David Ajay, the architect, who we are told that we owe $23.75 million on this National Cathedral project, which is now a burden to the taxpayer? Has this come to your attention, and are you concerned about that?
I'm afraid I need to actually come in at this time. I was expecting that you would allow some questions and disallow some questions. This attitude of they have actually come out with itemized points 1 to 7. They have spoken to these points. They've made their points. This attitude of this style of questioning, of filling in gaps or things that have not been adduced by the proponents of the motion, I am uncomfortable with that. I am very much uncomfortable.
I accept it entirely. I mean, you see, that is the whole business that we were worried about. You see, it looks like we, as part of the committee too, are helping them with some more evidence. Not our business. They are the proponents of this. They have come up with their evidence. Maybe we'll restrict ourselves to what they have come up with, not the other bits. See, that's why I confiscated one of your documents. So let's see. Anyway, you've asked so many questions. We're tired.
Mr. Chairman, is that his form of re-examination or something?
Everybody's complaining now, so it's getting uncomfortable. Let's see how you go back.
He's asking follow-up questions with respect to the payments, all payments in connection with the National Cathedral.
Full picture. It's important to have the full picture.
So it's not a re-examination.
Yeah, this is about the National Cathedral.
Mr. Chairman, we object to this strongly. If he can hold a press conference to deal with those matters, but I think that we are here for a specific reason. Grounds have been stated. Let's stick to that. You know, we are not here for it's not a political platform to make some political pronouncements. These are serious allegations. Please.
He will not teach me how to do my work in Parliament.
No,
this is Parliament. You won't teach me how to do my work.
Let me finish.
No, he can't come here and throw his weight about. He can't teach me how to do my work. I take strong exception that I should go and hold a press conference. Please.
I'm only 78 kilos. I'm not going to throw it about.
Please. I won't accept that.
Yes.
And you are not the chair. You don't tell members of Parliament what to do.
That's fine. So, I mean, we appreciate the opportunity.
I will do my work. I'm not going to hold a press conference. You will not teach me how to do my work.
Yeah, sure. I think we made the point. There have been quite a few questions already. But if we don't have... Well, we're listening to the tenor of the next two questions. Well, let's hear him say.
Mr. Chairman,
we haven't heard what he's going to say.
Mr. Chairman, I think that those who appear before this committee must be guided. We work with standing orders. And if you go through our standing orders, this committee can decide not to hear strangers. It's very clear. Standing order 2.
Who is the stranger now?
No. once you are not a member of parliament, that is how the standing order describes it.
So who is the stranger? Who is the stranger?
That is how the standing order describes it. I think.
Allow Sami to answer for himself. Who is the stranger?
Please, I mean, you can't come and say we can go and hold press. We are working, and we are here to do our job. So please, let that be clear.
Yeah, that's fine. That's clear.
Mr. Chairman, this National Cathedral project, we are discussing fiscal recklessness, which has brought us where we are. There are all manner of incidental costs associated to this project. There's an architect we owe $23,750,000. This is a letter from the Office of the President, a contract with this architect. It is all part of the cost. There's a looming judgment debt in excess of $50 million. These are not matters that I'm conjuring. No, they are matters that the people of this country.
The point is already clearly made. The point made about the constitutionality of the withdrawals to finance the bid that has already been paid for. I mean,
not approved by this House. And I'm asking the proponents if these are matters that have come to their attention and if they are concerned about them. It's a legitimate question.
I would have thought that they answered that already. They know all about it. The proponents, they know all about what there is to know, and they've answered. So what is the... Can we go on to the next question if there's any more?
Well, thank you, Chairman. I'm glad that our records will reflect these very vital documents and financial exposures to the Ghanaian taxpayer. My next question relates to the alarming incompetence and ineptitude of the finance minister, items 4, 5, and 6.
No, Sammy, you can't do that. I mean, we answered all these questions. We put the questions they've answered, and we're going back for you to ask all these many questions. No. Who are you asking the questions to? You're asking them what are they?
Chairman, can I be allowed to ask a question?
No, I can't. You cannot be allowed to ask any question. I'm asking the basis for the questions. Because I understood us to have had the opportunities to ask the questions.
Item number 7.
So you bring the 7?
Yes, item number 7. The gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy. The Honorable Ranking Member for the Finance Committee has provided some data. I want to find out from the Ranking Member if he shares the view, and this question relates to our ratings, which have plummeted. The worst ratings this country has ever received at the hands of the rating agencies, Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's. The President appears to suggest that we are being treated unfairly in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. I want to find out from the Honorable Ranking Member regarding our downgrades. Is that a view he shares? Do you think that Africa is being treated unfairly by these rating agencies, and specifically Ghana?
President presupposes that we all know what the President said. What did the President say?
The President, in his address to the United Nations General Assembly, thought that the rating agencies, he was quite categorical, that they have not been fair to African countries. And he refers to Ghana's downgrade. So I want to find out if that's a view shared by the Ranking Member on the Finance Committee.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I personally think that the President is not probably getting the required briefs. I say this for a simple reason that I think the rating agencies were late in the day in the downgrades, because I believe the market started reacting way before the rating agencies started acting. The market, in fact, downgraded us in their view beginning from November 2020. 2021, through to all the way to the time the rating agencies came on board. I've said publicly that the rating agencies were late in the day. In fact, on the very day that the government wrote to the Africa Union complaining about the ratings, subsequent to that, other rating agencies downgraded Ghana. Last week, I heard Fitch and the head of risk saying that in the coming months, they are preparing to downgrade Ghana further to LD. LD more or less means that default.
Mr. Chairman,
that for me,
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, this is not a committee for hearsay. Hello, you can't go on a wild goose chase and be speculating. Please.
You see the reaction of your colleagues that you've heard. So.
From where? Why is the record? There's not. No, you heard where?
No. You hear. Okay, so don't say you hear. Just tell us what you want to tell us.
Mr. Chairman, I will never come to a committee like this of this structure and come and obviously speculate. I won't do that. That is not in my DNA. I'm a gentleman, and I will never do that. Chairman,
so let's hear the other way.
Mr. Chairman,
way around.
This is a statement from Fitch on their website. This is a statement that Fitch granted an interview to Bloomberg, and they made that clear statement. I will not conjure it's coming from, and they use the word they will be downgraded to LD. You can even Google it on Ghana Web or somewhere else. I'm sure they picked it from there. So they themselves, it's not coming from me. So it's coming. It is coming from Fitch, rating agency that government of Ghana has contracted.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look at it and see what it's worth. For what it's worth, yeah, we'll have a look at it.
Chairman, my final question.
They haven't downgraded us.
Honorable Ranking Member, earlier a colleague on this committee tried to create the impression that the delay in passing the e-levy is the cause of the current economic woes that we have been plunged into. Is that a view you share? What's your own appraisal of the situation?
Who said that?
The Honorable Mensah said that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I disagree vehemently with that statement from our colleague, the Honorable Ijapa.
All right, you're giving your answer.
I say this for a simple reason that the e-levy policy was bound to fail. After it was passed, they couldn't generate the revenue.
I don't think it is fair when you answer the question to take us along the road.
No, Mr. Chairman, if a question is asked, I should explain why I disagree.
We've taken your answer. You said you disagree.
So that I can give you the breakdown why I disagree.
That's fine. Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah, sorry. Wait a minute. Yes, let's go to him. We'll come back to you. Let him write. He's a bit upset. I want him to calm down. So let him go. Yeah, go on.
Thank you. Honorable, you put a figure on the screen. If I may be privileged to have, there was something that you said we are getting to 80% of the GDP, and that's the finance minister ought to have done something. I want that on the screen. My question is based on that.